Hello, Mary.
Hello,
How
Mary.
you doing?
All right. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you very much for that wonderful um, testimonials, those wonderful testimonials that you just shared. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's session where we are going to see how we can leverage Power BI for decision making in areas of data analytics and also applying the skill sets of data analytics in financial analytics as well as HR. All right. So if you are excited for tonight's session, all right, let me see you type in the chat, yeah, yeah. All right, go ahead and type it in the chat, yeah, yeah. I'm excited for tonight's session. I want to see those messages popping. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I can see Sarah, I can see Ma'am. I can see iPhone. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited. Fantastic. I'm glad to be here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good to see you guys as well. All right. So one more thing that we need to do. I want to get to know everyone on this call. So since we're excited to be here, I want you to go ahead and, just type your name and tell us where you are joining from. All right. I'm going to go first. I'm Mary, and I'm joining you from Lagos, Nigeria. All right, so please go ahead, type in the chat, okay? Where are you joining us from? Okay, so I can see Stella from Canada, Patience from Manchester United, Chukunonso from Nigeria. Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, all right. So I can see Nelly from France, Sierra from US, and Chantel from Lagos, Nigeria. Olubowale from Canada, Abiola from Canada. I can see UK as well. Fantastic, fantastic. Good to see everyone on this call. Good to have you all here. Chioma from Italy, Greatness from US. Fantastic. So one more thing. If you are joining our session for the very first time, that is, you're joining our master classes for the very first time, all right? I want you to type a 1 in the chat, okay? If you're joining for the very first time. If you're not joining for the very first time, go ahead and type, 2, okay? Or use an emoji. Okay, so I can see a lot of first joiners, all right? You're joining for the first time. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Don't worry, we're going to have an interesting time here. Olubowale is coming again. All right, fantastic. Good to have you back here on these kinds of calls. All right, so today we are going to have a very interesting session where we'll be leveraging the tool called Power BI to make some informed decision. All right. Now we have some, dynamics in the house tonight. And I believe we are looking out for data analytics. We're also looking out for financial analytics and HR analytics. So if you belong to any of this category, right? You belong to the finance team, financial analytics, okay? You belong to HR, and you belong to, data, right? Go ahead and type in the chat, or data, or FA, or HR, all right? Any of those options. Awesome. So the first to put in their word is HR. So I can see Stella HR, Yvonne as well, Sarah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So a lot of HR individuals are here today, and Olubowale is for data. Do we have any finance person here tonight? All right, so I can see a lot of HR. This is amazing. Fantastic, fantastic. So I can see data and I can see HR. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now that we know who we have here on this call, I think we can dive right in, okay? So just give me a little bit of time. Let me just go ahead and share my screen, and then we get started. All right, guys. So welcome, welcome, welcome once again. Like I said, we're going to be having an interesting session. And now that we've gotten acquainted with each other and we are settled in, let's get started. Okay, so today we are going to be touching on how Power BI can help you get a job as a data analyst, a HR analyst, or a financial analyst. All right. Now, before we dive in, let's get to know the organization that we are here with today. So, we are here with no other than Tenalytics. Tenalytics is a leading edtech company focused on specialized training in technology and delivering comprehensive data consultation. We have over 4 years of industry experience building talent from for the technological workforce. All right. We've helped over 2,855 individuals transition from the classroom with no tech skills into their first jobs in tech across UK, US, Canada, Europe, and Africa, as well as Asia. All right. So here at Analytics, we are committed to making the technological sector much more accessible through premium and experiential training in areas like data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management, cybersecurity, and AI engineering. So our team of instructors from leading global companies like Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey, Amazon, and they bring a wealth of experience and are dedicated to delivering an engaging practical learning experience that ensures you receive the maximum value for your investments in the future. And I'm one of those individuals, right? And I'll be giving you a tip of the iceberg of what you might be experiencing in your classes, all right? So let's look at who we are going to be meeting today. So first here we have your speaker right here. So my name is Mary, all right? I am a data professional with over 5 years of experience in the field of data analytics, HR analytics, and data science. I specialize in cutting-edge technological tools in Power BI, Excel, Tableau, Python, and SQL. All right. As a senior data associate here at Analytics, I have successfully helped over 1,065 individuals transition into technological skill sets, all right, and career paths. Now, equipping them with the skills to transition seamlessly into data-driven roles. On my own end, I have worked in diverse industries, which includes legislative operations, the importation and marketing, NGOs, consulting, and as you can see here, EdTech. All right. So you can also reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn if you're interested in knowing more after this call. All right. So that is all for Mary. Now, another interesting individual that you're going to be meeting here tonight is no other than Priscilla. All right. So Priscilla is an amazing professional, a passionate educator, data expert, and a career strategist with close to half a decade of experience in the world of blockchain technology and data analytics. As a data associate at Analytics, she has been instrumental in helping individuals navigate the complex tech landscape, guiding them in choosing the right career path, onboarding them into data-driven paths, and providing the support they need to land their first job. So Priscilla's experience spans across the freelance data analyst roles, crypto educator, technological support personnel, tech career coach, and with a strong commitment to career transitioning, Priscilla has successfully onboarded and mentored over 500 individuals, helping them transition seamlessly into tech and secure meaningful job opportunities. All right. So you're going to be meeting Priscilla at the second half of this masterclass, where you're going to hear more about how you can land a job as a tech professional in data analytics, HR analytics, and financial analytics. All right. So you can also connect with Priscilla over LinkedIn to know more about this opportunity that we have here for you today. All right. So what are we going to do today, or what are we doing today? The first thing we are going to do today is to get hands-on on a case study, right? This case study is going to help us understand how we can leverage data analytical skill sets in the areas of financial analytics and HR analytics. All right. Once we are done leveraging that skill set, we'll dive into the next part of things, which would be how to get started as soon as possible in upcoming cohorts this July. All right, this July. July is around the corner already. I mean, we just have 2 weeks, right? And we are in July. And if you want to secure your slots, I believe you will start taking action as soon as possible before the slot closes. Now, you also be seeing other people who have successfully transitioned in different areas in data analytics, HR analytics, and financial analytics, all right? So that you can understand what it took and how much it meant to them at the end of the day when they were successful in their transitioning process, all right? So now that we are on the same page, I believe we can now get started with our case study, okay? So let's dive in. So the first thing we are going to look at here is understanding the roles that we are actually talking about, right? Who is a data analyst, or who is a data analyst, right? So a data analyst is basically an individual or a tech professional that is responsible for analyzing and interpreting data to help a business generate effective insights and support data-driven decisions. All right. So a data analyst is just an individual that takes a company's data, all right, and transform it into a gold mine of decision making, structured and strategic decision making. Now, a data analyst answers two questions. A data analyst answers the question of what happened. Now, this is what we know as descriptive analytics, all right? What happened, right? As a data analyst, you'll be answering a lot of questions like, why is there a decrease in the number of customers that patronize this business, right? Why is our customer satisfaction ratings dropping, right? And what is the revenue generated in the month of April? This would require us to go and find out what happened to be able to give an answer to those kinds of questions, right? So that is one key question that a data analyst answers. Another thing here is, why did it happen? All right. Aside from answering what happened, all right, you also want to be able to answer the question of why did it happen? Now you've gone to the data, you've analyzed it, you've understood what happened. Now it's time for you to answer the question of why did it happen? All right, so this is where we go to diagnostic analytics. So here we are basically going further to find connections between the relative analysis that we carried out to understand why a situation happened. Okay, so we found out what the sales trend is, right? Why did we get this particular drop in sales in June or in February? What happened, right? And we might come up with a solution or put on our detective hats to be able to answer the question of, oh, this February, we didn't put out a discount. So a lot of people patronized our competitors, right? We trace where the problem is coming from, and then we answer it efficiently using data-backed facts, all right? That is exactly what a data analyst does, all right? Now that we are clear on what a data analyst does, let's also look at some relative and structured career paths that can also leverage this, what's it called? These questions in helping businesses create solutions, all right? So the next one we have here is financial analyst. Who is a financial analyst? Now, a financial analyst is simply a professional who analyzes financial data to guide investment decision, evaluate company performance, and forecast financial trend. All right. The first thing I want you to note here is that a financial analyst is a person who does what? Analyzes. All right. They analyze financial data. If you check the slide for the data analyst as well, what do? They are responsible for analyzing and interpreting data, right? So a financial analyst and a data analyst are simply the same individuals who require the same skill sets, but a financial analyst is now more focused in analyzing financial data, all right, to help organization guide decisions surrounding investments, surrounding budgeting, forecasting their financial future, and helping them to make better financial decisions for that business. Okay, so simply put, a financial analyst is simply a data analyst who analyzes financial data. Okay, now what do they actually help businesses answer? They help businesses identify trends, they help them generate reports that speaks mostly on the financial health of the business, or helps the business see better as to what is happening in the operations of their finance. How much money are we spending? Are we still in profit? What is our expenses? What does it look like? The budget that we created, are we in line with it, or are we exceeding the plans that we've made? This is where the financial analyst comes in, using the organization's finance data to make informed decision. So finally, which other question does a financial analyst help us to answer? They help us to protect the financial health of the business, all right? So this is what a financial analyst does. Now, let's move on to another interesting career path that we have under the data analytics as well. All right, so finally, we have the HR analyst. The HR analyst. I know a lot of us here are from the HR analyst aspect, right? So who is an HR analyst? An HR analyst is also a professional who analyzes people data, all right? So everything that a data analyst does, a HR analyst also does those things. But now, what does the HR analyst do? HR analyst is basically more focused on helping an organization identify trends and patterns in recruitment, all right? Are we hiring the right candidates? Are we bringing in people from the right source? What are our skill gaps? How do we identify and analyze skill gaps? How do we evaluate employee performance and find out not just the employees that are not performing well, but what is causing or what is affecting the employees' performance to enable the organization to boost the health and wealth of the employees within the work environment. All right. So an HR analyst doesn't just help the organization to analyze data, they also help them to find trends and patterns that contribute to decision makings in areas of HR policies and strategic decisions. All right. Now, again, an HR analyst is simply a data analyst who helps an organization analyze people data. Imagine an individual who takes care of the entire human capital of the organization, and you're doing it just with gut feelings. You want to do that with data, all right? You want to have data-backed evidence to speak on what is happening in the organization, all right? If you want to come and say, oh, employees are leaving, how about you say we had 12% attrition rate in the month of February, all right? And this is what is impacting it based on the data, right? That is a much more effective way to create a report or to drive change in an organization than just saying, oh, I noticed that 5 people left in this department and so on and so forth, right? All right, so now that we have that cleared out, let's look at what kind of questions an HR analyst actually helps an organization answer. So we highlighted just three here. The first one is an HR analyst analyzes HR metrics and data. Okay, so basically, they look at things that concern the employees or the organizations. What is the absenteeism rate? All right, what is the payroll structure? What are the expenses that we are making in terms of analyzing or understanding the payroll flow? How much money has been spent in benefits, all right? What kind of benefits are these employees not using at all? How can we, re-strategize and take that funds into where it's going to be much more beneficial for these employees? Another key thing we have here is identifying trends in workforce data. All right, identifying trends in workforce data, helping us to understand what is going on. If we're seeing poor performance, how about we evaluate job satisfaction of these employees? What is their main reason or their main pain points, and how can we use that to improve performance, right? Now, these are things that you can do with your HR data. Another thing we have here is develop and implement HR strategies. Develop and implement HR strategies. You don't just go through your analytical process, coming up with insights. Okay, I noticed that we have 12% attrition and all of that, right? As a HR professional, you go a step further into creating policies that govern the organization's structure, right? Ensuring that the health of their most, okay, valuable capital is well maintained, right? So when you find out that there's an issue with absenteeism and you get to the root cause, realizing that, okay, if you're working for an organization that has a shift system, maybe a retail company, right? You look through their shift system and see if their hours are what is impacting the high absenteeism rate or the poor performance. And what happens from there, you create policies and strategies that actually enables those employees to have a better working hour in order in as a return of that or that kind of action, the employees are more likely to be, at their best every time they come into work. They are not grumbling, they are well rested, they can do more. Just because you were able to analyze and detect the issue in the data, present a proper report about it, and then what happened at the end of the day, you still were able to manage the employees effectively and get the best result out of that. All right. So that's what an HR analyst does for a business. All right. Now that we know all about these roles and we are clear on it, okay, the next thing we need to do now is just to head over to understanding what Power BI is, because that's the tool we want to leverage for our case study today. So Power BI is simply a business intelligence tool that was developed by our wonderful and reliable company, Microsoft. Now, this particular tool enables us to connect our data, transform it, analyze it, and visualize it, enabling us to use our, transform our data to make informed decision as data analyst, financial analyst, or HR analyst. All right. So this Power BI is a very powerful tool, and a lot of us are going to learn how to use it once we get into this program. All right. We are going to learn how to use it to transform data. We're even going to learn how to use it to do even much more than transform data, how to connect to multiple data sources, how to transform our data, how to tackle different kinds of data when we bring it in, how to clean our data. All right. I believe we don't stress data cleaning and transformation enough, more than we talk about data visualization. But these are things that we are going to learn how to do. Today, we are going to just, like I said, a tip of the iceberg. We are going to touch on that just to show you how you can answer business questions and make informed decisions from those processes. All right. So right here, I'm going to take us to our case study for the day. Okay. So what are we touching on today? We are going to be working together. All right. So I want all of us to pay close attention. Okay. So we are working together. Okay. And our task today is going to be outlined shortly. But first, let's understand the business and the situation that we are in right now. All right. So today we are working for Phantom Consulting. Okay. Today we are working for Phantom Consulting. So Phantom Consulting is a data and strategy firm. So, and it supports organization in using data to drive smarter decisions. One of their clients, a mid-sized retail chain organization, has requested a streamlined dashboard focusing on finance and HR performance to assist in annual planning and operational optimization. All right. So let's get started. Let's see everything that we need to see about this organization. Okay. So the first thing we have here is what the client actually expects. So the client has engaged Phantom Consulting for financial analysis and HR analysis. For the financial analysis, we are to monitor profitability, track revenue trends, and evaluate customer satisfaction. And for the HR analytics, we are to assess employee performance, attrition risk, and workforce satisfaction. All right. So all of these demands will still be cut down or still be based off the data set that this client has provided. All right. So let's look at some of the business questions before we start diving into our solutions. All right. So we are going to be using our data analytics skill sets to answer financial analytics questions. All right. Now, what we have here is what department delivers the highest monthly profit trend? All right. Don't worry. Once we get into our data, we would answer those questions together. All right. But I want you to, take the note of these questions because you would be dropping your 2 cents on how we can develop this report. I'm just going to ask you, okay, what do you think we should look out for here, right? What kind of data or column do we need to apply to this particular area? Okay, now we also have another thing. Are some regions constantly delivering higher satisfaction alongside better revenue? Okay, are some regions constantly delivering higher satisfaction alongside better revenue? Okay, so we just have 2 questions to answer for the financial analysis. Now, for the HR analysis, we also have 2 questions. The first one is, which department has the highest attrition and how does that vary across gender? Okay, which department has the highest attrition and how does that vary across gender? Okay, another question we'll be answering is, what is the overall employee performance distribution and where should retention efforts be focused? Okay, I'll come again with that. What is the overall employee performance distribution and where should retention efforts be focused? All right. So these are some of the questions that we're going to be answering in few steps. All right. We're going to be able to put together a simple report so that we can give them a bird's eye view of what is going on in their business. All right. So let's look at what we are going to be achieving. So first of all, we'll be transforming our raw data, all right, from this, okay, we can see a table here, rows, columns everywhere. I can't really tell you how many individuals are still with the organization or how many individuals have left just by looking at this. But we'll be transforming this into a functional report, creating an amazing dashboard that you can see here. Let's have a better view of this. Yes. All right, so this is exactly what we are going to be creating. All right, we're going to be creating a financial report and a HR report for this organization. Like I said, we're just going to create a simple report. We just have 2 questions. So let's see what is going on in the business, right? So we'll be transforming those tables, rows, and columns into something that actually speaks volume as to what is happening in the business, where we have trouble, or what we need to take note of. All right, using this visualized layout or visualized report view. Okay, so how many of us are ready to dive in? If you are ready to dive in, I want to see you type yes, 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 I'm ready. All right, I'm ready to dive in. I'm ready to dive in. Okay, fantastic, 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 fantastic. I can see the excitement. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, before we get started, I would like us to note that my colleague is sending out a link in the chat box. Now, what this link is for is to ensure that after this session, you are also able to get the recording, all right? For those of us that will not be able to practice along, you also be able to get the recording, and you would also be able to get this material that I'm using right now. Okay, so please make sure to fill out that form. While we are filling it out, I'll also share the link to our data set so that we can start getting ready, especially for those of us that already have Power BI. Okay, all right, so let's go on. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my data set. All right, so we have our data set here. I have the Excel download, and if you don't have Power BI yet, I have a link here for you that will take you to a page where you can download Power BI. Okay, all right, so let's get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in, okay, I want to go ahead and bring in this particular data set. All right, so we have our Phantom data set here, Phantom Consulting. Let me go ahead and share the link for those of us that want to go ahead and download it right away. So our Phantom data set actually consists of 2 sheets, okay? It consists of 2 sheets. We have the financial data, okay? And then we have the HR data, okay? The financial data and the HR data. All right, so I've dropped the link in the chat box. So please go ahead and click on it. All right, it will take you right onto this page that I'm on. Fantastic. I can see anonymous alligator, anonymous coyote, yeah, anonymous ferrets, and uh chupacabra, I believe that's what it is, rhino, and so on and so forth. Awesome. So while we are getting in here, I'm just going to walk us through how to download these data sets into our local devices. All right, so if you are joining on your phone, you'll still be able to download it, but it will take even more steps. But if you are joining on your PC, lucky you, right? You'll be able to follow this as simple as possible. All right, so the first thing we are going to do is just to head over to the file. All right, and then we go ahead and scroll down. Okay, we'll go ahead and scroll down to where we have download. Now, once we get here, we're going to go ahead to where we have Excel, Microsoft Excel as our download option. This is just to indicate that we'll be downloading this particular file in Excel format. All right, we don't want PDF or Open Docs or comma separated value. We want to download it as Excel, so it's easier for us to actually import and work on. So I'll go ahead and click on Microsoft Excel. Immediately I click on it, it starts to download. Okay, it starts to download. Now this has definitely gone to my PC's File Explorer under the download session. All right, so that's exactly where I'm going to go ahead and access it. Okay, so now that we have what we need, all right, like I said, we just have 2 sheets here, financial data all right, for the financial analytics process, and the HR data for the HR analytics process. Once we get into Power Query, we'll look at our columns much more better so we can answer the questions that we need to answer. All right, so yes, let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and unravel or open Power BI so that we can get into our solution. All right, so yes, so welcome to Power BI. This is our Power BI interface. The Power BI interface is basically very straightforward and easy to use. The first thing we have here on our welcome screen is, our data source, right? Do we want to start out with a blank page or want to connect with a data source immediately? So we are going to start with a blank page. So we take everything step by step, okay? So I'll go ahead and click on the blank page. All right, blank report. All right. I'll go ahead and click on the blank report. Now, this is a blank report page. We have, just our visualization panel here on the right, and also our data panel, as well as our filter panel. Okay, so the main panels we are going to be using here today will be the visualization panel, the data panel, as well as our tabs that you can see here. Let me go ahead and extend this so we can see it exactly as it will be on our own PC so we don't get confused. All right. So this is what the Power BI reports page looks like. And this is the canvas that we'll be building our reports on, just like the one you saw on the slide, all right, not too long ago. Okay. So the first step in analyzing your data would be to actually gather that specific data. All right. So we've been able to take one step in getting our data into Power BI, but the data set is not in Power BI yet, which means we still have to take the step to get data. All right. We still have to take the step to get data. All right. So this is the process of doing what? Gathering our data, or even for the sake of what is happening here in front of us, instead of saying gathering like we're in a farm, right? We are going to be importing our data. All right. So let's go ahead and import our data. The first thing we need to do is just to go to the Get Data button. We click on the drop down arrow and we go to Excel workbook. So I'll click on the Excel workbook. Okay. And I have, yes, my Phantom consulting data under my downloads, just like I expected. So I'll go ahead and click on that and then click on open. Okay, so our data set is going to pop up on our screen. All right, you can see that it's already connecting. Okay, so it's going to pop up on our screen now. What Power BI just wants to do is to make sure that we have a good preview of the data set that we are bringing in. All right, so just in case you are bringing in the wrong data, you can change your mind before you transform and do all the other works, right? It's a great tool, actually. So we have a navigator tab here. And what the navigator tab does is that it exposes all the sheets that we have in Excel. So we have two sheets. Instead of it just, visualizing the first one, it shows us both the first sheet and the second sheet. Now we can't see anything on the preview. To be able to see that, you would have to click on this checkbox right here. Okay, so we can see a preview of the financial data. From first sight, I already know that, I'm in the right sheet. Even with the name, I already know. So I don't need anything to help me confirm, right? So you can see everything right here, just to be sure, just in case you have a lot of sheets named with the same title, right? So you look through it and you're sure, oh, this is the June data. All right, so this is what I'm working with, or this is the February data. Oh, I'm not working with that. Once you realize you're not working with it, all you have to do is click on cancel and you start the process afresh. But we are not in that season right now. So to make sure that we import all our sheets, okay, just to make sure we import all our sheets, we have to select the finance data, all right, and the HR data. Since we are working with both information, we have to collect both of them, import them into our Power BI. Now, once you are done with that, you go ahead and preview as well. I like to make sure that I'm on a safe side, right? I'm bringing in the right data. Again, I'm setting that this is the right data. Now it's time for us to get into the next stage, all right? The data cleaning stage, all right? Data cleaning, data preparation, or you can call it data transformation, which basically blends everything together. You are transforming your data, all right? Just like transforming a scattered room, or cleaning out a kitchen or something like that, or even preparing a meal, right? You are transforming your data, getting it ready for analysis. That is exactly what you are doing, right? So let's dive in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on transform data because I want to make sure my data is transformed. All right. So let's transform our data. Okay. So from the look of our data, I don't think there's anything much that we need to actually do. But to be certain, let's just take our time and look through. There might be something that we need to summarize. There might be a missing value that we need to, fill out, or a row that is not necessary that we need to delete completely or filter out. All right. Whatever the case may be, we would find out in this part of Excel called Power Query. All right. So this is our Power Query. All right, our Power Query is an inbuilt app in Excel that helps us to carry out data transformation. All right, so just like I suspected, we have a lot of empty cells. All right, now these empty cells are not something that we need to bother about. All we need to do is just, check our, column quality. We have valid data, we have errors, and we have empty. Under the empty, we have 95% empty, which means we have a lot of null values. If you even look at this, I'm not sure you can see it, but if you can see it, you would notice that, our bar is almost to the end. Just 5% valid data. No, that's not what we are working with. Okay. So to handle this very quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and filter out this data. Trust me, this place of transformation, whatever you do here, all right, would be signed and sealed, okay? If you want to correct it, you have to come back to this place to unsign it and unseal it, okay? So every step we take here, we take it carefully because anything we do here is what we are telling Power BI that, okay, this is how I want my data to be, all right? I have transformed it and I believe I've done the right thing. So please, let's go on to analyzing our data. All right. So the first thing I want to do here is to take out my null values. All right. So I'll go ahead and remove that. I'll just go to a column, especially a unique identifier column. It's something we call the primary key. All right, you hear more about it once you get in. All right, the primary key. Primary key helps us to identify individuals in a unique way. All right, so I'll go ahead and uncheck this null value. Once I just uncheck that, I'll click OK. And what happens? I have 100% valid data all through my rows, all right? Just leveraging the primary key method to take that out, all right? So I filtered out my data, okay? I now have valid data. But there's still one thing I want to do, all right? Just looking through my data, I can see I have employee ID, which represents our employees distinctively. We also have the gender column helping us to give a good insight into their demographics, how many males or females do we have, the departments that they belong to, fantastic. We also have their performance level. We've given them a grade already, performance, high, medium, and so on and so forth. We have the attrition information. Have they left? Yes or no, right? So I want to ask a quick question. Attrition actually means that an employee has left the organization, right? So this is a silly question, but I still want to ask. If you find a no under an attrition column, what does it mean? Let me just ask a quick question. If you find no under an attrition column, what does it actually mean? I want to see those that, if you find a no under an attrition column, what does it mean? Like I said, attrition is when an employee leaves an organization, when they no longer, oh, fantastic, Oluwatosin, Chioma, amazing. The staff is still in the company. The staff are still in the company. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. All right, all right, all right. So this is amazing. I like how the crowd is moving. Okay, so yes, now that we have that sorted out, we know that where we have no, the staffs are still available for us, and where we have yes, the staff have left the organization. Okay, so back to what we need to work on, all right? So I can see we have an age column. Now, this age column, if I want to summarize the information in this age column, what do I actually have to do? Basically, I have to categorize them properly. I want to be able to tell those in their 20s, those in their 30s, and so on and so forth, right? I want to categorize them properly. So if I want to create a distribution or a chart that points towards gender, it can be easily summarized, all right? So let's quickly take some steps to do that. The first thing I need to do is just to head over to my add column tab. So I can create a new tab separately to store my age categories. All right. So I'll go ahead to add column, and then I'll go to conditional column. All right. The conditional column is a column that helps us to, give a specific attribute based on a specific condition. All right. If this person is 10 years old, all right, print out sweets. Okay, that's is sweet that we're going to give the 10 years old, right? If this person is 30 years old, print out a bowl of rice, or what do they call it? Brocotor, right? For those Nigerians in the house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on conditional column. All right, conditional column. Now, the conditional column is just going to bring a pop-up on my screen here that gives me some, direct process of how to achieve this summary, right? The first thing I'm going to do is to give this a name. I'll call this age range, all right? Just want to create an age range, all right? And then we have a structured and well laid out process, okay? So if impute column name here, this is what they want you to do. So I'll go ahead and impute the column name. If the age column, all right, the operator is less than or equal to. So I'll go again. If the age column is less than or equal to, since I'm categorizing based on those in their 20s, I believe we have 50 years old here, 58. All right, so since if the age column is less than or equal to, those in their 20s ends at 29, right? I want my output to be 20s. Another one is, okay, age column. If the age column or the age information is less than or equal to 39, the output should be 30. Okay, those in their 30s. I'll do that again for those in their 40s, and I'll close off with those in their 50s. So again, less than or equal to 49, and we have 40s. And lastly, I'll just put 50s and above. So it just covers the rest. Okay. So I believe those around this age are looking towards retirement at this point in time. So a lot of them are usually not around that much. All right. So this conditional statement is simple. Kindly go into the age column, all right, and look for all the numbers that are less than 29 and also equal to 29. Categorize them as those in their 20s. Now, once you are done with that one, come back again and look for those in their 30s. They have to be less than 30 and great and equal to 39. All right, they have to be less than 39 and equal to 39. You go through that process again, you get those in their 30s. The same applies for age, the other condition. Find out those in their 40s, all right, 49 and below, all right, and categorize them as 40s and so on and so forth. Now, once you're done with this, you go ahead and click OK. All right. So this basically summarizes our data instantly. So if I'm looking at the age column here, just right here, and I'm also looking at the new column that I have here. Here I have 24 and I can see 20s. I have 33 and I can see 30s, 47, 40s, 30, let me just, create a straight line there. All right. So 37, 30s, 58, 50s and above, 43, 40s. So everything is properly captured, just like that. That's why they call it business intelligence. So easy, so smooth, and gives us the best results within a click of button, right? You just need to know how to apply it to get the best out of it. All right. So I will quickly give this, transform it and change it to a text column. And we have the result that we need here. All right. So we want to make sure that we always have the right data types for each column. Okay. So I'm done with transforming my HR data or preparing my HR data. I'll go ahead to my finance data to be sure that everything is also good here. All right, so for the finance data, I still have the same issue, right? In terms of having a lot of null value, 95% empty. So what do? I'll go ahead in here and uncheck. Okay, I think, yes, the month column, definitely. All right, I'll go in here and uncheck the null value. Go ahead and click OK, and we should have that completely gone. Fantastic. So if I look at this particular data, I have my month information, department, revenue, okay, expenses, 100% valid, profits, the same thing, month number, region, transaction, customer support. We don't have anything to summarize or, edit any further. Everything looks perfectly fine. Okay, so it's time for us to go into the next stage of analysis, which is our data analytics. So it's time for us to start, flogging our data until it speaks the truth. Okay, so I'm going to go into my home tab here and click on close and apply. All right, so our data is brought into Power BI desktop interface, and we can start putting 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2 together. All right, so it's time for us to start our analysis. All right, so our data set is just loading. Once it's fully loaded, we'll see it in our data panel right here. All right, so while we are waiting, please guys, make sure to fill out the attendance form so you can also get everything from this recording and also the materials attached to this session. Okay? All right. All right, so once our data appears here, we would step into our analytical stage or analyzing stage. All right, so that would actually require us to write something called DAX formulas. But before we start writing DAX formulas, we actually need to understand the kind of questions that are being asked that will require us to use those DAX formulas. So let's start with that, okay? First of all, let me just lay out our templates for this particular dashboard. All right, so I'll just go with this rectangle. Okay. All right, go with that. All right, so I'm just trying to make sure that this is, very, very structured for us to lay out all our visuals. Okay, so I have this sorted, I believe. Okay, and I'll duplicate that. All right. Lastly, let me just work on the background as well so we can see a bit of contrast here. All right, so we have our background template to lay down our dashboard. All right, so let's quickly go back to the questions. Let's quickly go back to our questions. So we have a simple question here. All right. The first one we have here, let's tackle the financial analytics questions, right? So the questions are, what department delivers the highest monthly profit trend? What department delivers the highest monthly profit trend? All right, so we're going to look at this and we need to answer some questions, right? The first thing we detect here is that they are talking about departments. They want to understand how much profit each department is responsible for, but they want to see it by each month, all right? So this particular one can go either way. It's either we analyze it by looking at department and profit, or we look at the monthly trends of profits and filter the answer by department. All right. So enough talking. Let's dive in. All right. Let's dive in. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and, just select this line chart here. Okay. Just bring that over here. Let's start at the bottom and build to the top. All right. So we have a line chart here. but it's practically empty. So as easy as it is, all I have to do is just click a button here and my chart pops into the report page and I can adjust, drag and all of that, right? There is no code whatsoever, okay? There is no code. Now, the next thing I want to do is to go ahead and bring in two things. I want to see the trends of profit, which would require me to look at it by a time frame, all right? Either I use year, I use month, or quarter, or even day, right? So I have a data here that represents months. This will allow me to see how much profit we made throughout January to December, if that's what we have in our data. So let's find out. So I'll just go ahead and click on month, okay? All right, and I'll click on profit, okay? So we have the total sum of profit and we have our month. So let's see what that looks like right here. I'll just go ahead and change this title while this is loading. Call this total, all right? Total profit. All right. So I'm going to put this on focus mode so we can see it properly. All right. So if you look here, you will see that there's a downward trend. But don't be deceived, all right? You also need to look at what you imputed in your data, all right? So right here we have June as the beginning of a month, right? That is not right. We have January almost at the 5th month of the year, okay? That is not right. So simply put, we just have an individual month column that has information about months. So Power BI has detected it as just a simple text column. But luckily for us, we also have a column that detects the specific number that each of these months occupy. Just like when you are writing your date, if you want to identify January, when you are writing your date, you say 01 or 01, and February 02, and so on and so forth. That is exactly what we are going to do right here. Okay, so I want to go to my table view where I can actually, summarize this data to carry the attributes for the finance information. All right, so I'll go ahead and select my financial data. I'll locate my months column. I'll select that as well. And then I would, sort this particular column by my month number. So I'll go ahead and click on month number. Okay, it does the work and everything. All right. Now, while we are here, instead of us going back and forth, I would also like to make sure that this revenue, expense, and profit column, reflects the currencies that they represent. So I'm going to attach the dollar, okay, dollar currency. Just by clicking on this, you select a column, it opens up these formatting tools for you, and you can transform it that way. So I just want to make sure that when we see it, we actually know that it's money, all right? And not just numbers of products, numbers of customers. It is money, all right? So I have to put that dollar sign there, okay? So let's go ahead. The last one we have here, profits. Okay, so I'll click on that as well. All right. So remember, we've already sorted out our months. So let's go back to our report view. Okay, so all I have to do is I'm just going to take out month. Okay, and then put that back again. Fantastic. So you see that we have January down to December properly structured. We can see what is happening, the movement of time. All right, from January, how much did we make? All right, you can see a spike in February, a drop in March, and then May, and so on and so forth. So we can easily tell what is going on in the data. All right, if I ask a question now, all right, I want you guys to answer me. Okay, what month did we have the highest, or did we attain the highest profit in this business? What specific month did we do that? What month did we attain the highest profit in this business? Chioma says in June. Ola, June. Oluwatobi, June. User says June as well. Syra says June. June, June, June. Fantastic. Now, what month did we have? Okay, the second highest sales. I'm not going to ask us the lowest sales. What month did we have the second highest sales? Let's see if we can actually detect the pattern from our data. February. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Now, if I had asked us that question using this our Excel sheet right here, would we have been able to give a proper answer to that? If I said, oh, what month did we have the highest profits using this Excel sheet without any visuals? Be honest with me, would you have been able to answer that? Yes or no? No. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that's the power of transforming your data into something meaningful that you can actually use, right? So that's exactly what it is. Okay, so we've been able to create a process that actually helps us to make sense of our data. All right, looking at it, we can tell, oh, this is the first highest month, June. That's where we made the most profits. And following that, we have February. Okay, and then if I asked us, what month did we have the lowest sales or the lowest profits, rather, not sales? Okay, it's very easy because we can see the trends, the patterns that the data is revealing to us, right? We can see it right there, November. All right, so we can easily tell this business, okay, this is what is happening. Okay, descriptive analytics. What happened, right? In your business, you made the lowest sales in November, the highest sales in June. Okay, let's say because of summer holiday. Okay, that's why you made the highest sales. February, the month of love, right? We have Valentine. All of those, goodies are being sold, and it's a retail business, so we already understand people are trying to buy gifts. More sales are going out, right? And that is very, very reasonable. That's when we start getting into, okay, why it happened, that diagnostic analytics, right? Why it happened. Okay, this is why it happened. This is why we had more sales here. And in November, we can also look even further to find out what is happening there. Now, let's not stop here. Let's answer the next question as well. All right, let's answer the next question. So the next question says, are some regions constantly delivering higher satisfaction alongside better revenue? Are some regions constantly delivering higher satisfaction alongside better revenue? So this particular one is basically asking, we want to see the regions, all right? And we also want to be able to understand if they have better customer satisfactions. We, aside from knowing if they have good customer satisfaction, we also want to know how much money they are generating for the business in terms of revenue. Okay, so we are going to dive in and create that solution very quickly. All right, I'll just go ahead and duplicate this. Okay, all right, and just place it right here. Right, so now we are going to go ahead and I'm going to take out all the information I have here so I can bring in the department info, or rather region information. The first region I have here, yeah, it's not going to be visible until we bring in a numerical data to quantify every region. So I'll go with revenue first before we look at anything regarding our customer satisfaction. The best kind of chart to actually see this properly, I believe, would be a column chart. So I'm going to go with the column chart here. All right. So we can see all the hierarchies of distribution here. So I can see that we have the West region generating the highest revenue. Is so visible, right? Direct, easy to see. Immediately I look at this, that even the stakeholders don't need me to tell them where they have the highest revenue, just by looking at this chart right here. Okay, The West has the highest revenue, followed by the North. The least place where we have the revenue generation would be the South. But another thing to note is that we need to also find out how much, right? The South is generating 400, and if I hover on it, you can see that there's a pop-up there that just gives me a detailed summary of what I'm pointing at. I didn't write any code to get that result. I just had to click on a button, select my data, and boom, I have my results. All right, that's how easy it is. Okay, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and just change the title. I don't want it to show sum of revenue when I present to my stakeholders. I want it to say total revenue. Okay, now once I'm done with this, I just want to bring in some other things. Okay, I want to bring in, let's say, a KPI card that tells me exactly what is going on in terms of how much money did we make in profit and how much money did we make in revenue. All right. But before I do that, there's one more thing. I believe our question says customer satisfaction, right? What's the customer satisfaction level? And also, what is the revenue generation as well? So I'm going to move this chart into a line chart combo with a clustered chart, all right? So I can also bring in the information about customer satisfaction. So I'll click on this, okay? And I have room for an extra line. So I'll be bringing in my customer satisfaction information, okay? I don't want this to be a sum, so I will change that to average right here. Okay, I'll change that to average. So from this trend line, I can already note the particular region that has the highest customer satisfaction. The South has the highest customer satisfaction alongside the East. Even though they are not bringing in the highest revenue, customers are very, very satisfied. Now, the North is bringing in a relatively high revenue compared to other regions like the East and South. But what's their customer satisfaction looking like? It's looking very, very low. All right. So this is exactly what your data can do. We've looked at revenue. We can give them report on that. And we can also tell them that, you know what? Yes, they have great revenues, but they also have this kind of influence on their customers, whereby the northern region has a 3.7 customer satisfaction rate. All right. I believe this customer satisfaction rate is on a ratio of 1 to 5. So we don't have anything above 5 here. All right. On a ratio of 1 to 5. So this particular region has the lowest satisfaction, although it is not as bad, but it still has the lowest. All right. Let's look at some summary here. I'm going to just bring in a card visual. Okay. I'll bring in a card visual and just put that over here. Okay. And we want to look at total profits. Okay. Let me just quickly edit that, reduce the size. And yeah, the title as well, total profits, not sum of profits. Okay. All right. Next thing, I'll duplicate that, copy, and we go with revenue this time. Check that, select revenue. Total revenue. All right, so right here on our screen, we can easily come in with a good report telling them exactly how much money they are making. All right, how much money is flowing into the business and how much money they've made in terms of profit. All right, so revenue is one thing, profit is another thing. All right, so those of us that have accounting background or finance background, we definitely know what is already going on here. Although this business is still happy, because almost close to half of their revenue is actually profit, right? So they are good to go. Now, we still have the question of department. So to be able to answer that, I can easily just add a simple filter button, or what we call slicer, here in Power BI. So I'll go ahead and click on my slicer. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me just deselect all my charts, click on the slicer, and I'll bring in department. Okay, so this particular slicer is just going to help me interact better with all of this information here. All right, so I'll go into my drop down list. Okay, now if I decide that I want to look at this particular dashboard based off of a specific department, I can go ahead and do what? Select operations, all right? And the entire dashboard interacts to that. It gives me the summary and understanding of what's going on, or how the operations department across diverse regions is contributing to the sales or profit of this particular business. The same applies if I move to marketing, and so on and so forth. So I can just clear my filter selection and get my report ready for the business. Last thing I'm going to add here would be a title. So I have this as finance reports. Okay, finance reports. Let me just increase that size. It's 20. All right, and move this over. All right, so it seems like as if I've selected the background templates. Moving this text box is quite tricky sometimes, so I have to make sure that I'm selecting the border, okay? So if I'm not careful, I just pick up something else and everything just goes. All right, so this is just a text box where you can write your information or even bring in some values that you want to be interactive. So right here, right now, I would just go ahead and, take out, change the background of this. Okay, I believe this is now good. So we have our financial report. Okay, we have our financial report. Now let's move on to HR. Okay, let's move on to HR. So for the HR, I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this. We have some interesting questions to answer. All right, so let's go here. All right, so the first one is, which department has the highest attrition, and how does this vary across gender? Which department has the highest attrition? That's the first question, okay? So we want to find out the department with the highest attrition, okay? After we've discovered that, we'll go in with the next thing. How does that vary across gender? Okay, how does that vary across gender? So let's build a chart that answers these key questions. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just simply to bring in a chart here. Let's see what we have. All right, we'll use this, let's use this stack column chart with a line chart. All right, so we can put in the three combos in there. First, we want to bring in our department. All right, so I'll go in here and bring in the department information. So we'll start at the bottom and build up to the top. All right, the next thing we want to see here, so we can start seeing visuals, is the attrition. Now, if I go ahead and just click on the attrition, it will give me information about those individuals that have done what, that have left, and those individuals that are still with the company. Remember, our column says yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, right? That means we'll have everything. So if I click on this, it will just give me everybody's information, right? Although we have a broken out system here, but that is not what we need right now. So let's do a calculation. We're going to use DAX measure. to calculate some key things. First is going to be the actual number of individuals that have left the organization. And then we're also going to calculate attrition rate. All right. The actual number of individuals that have left the organization and then the attrition rate. So let's get on with it. So I'm just going to click on the table name here, HR data, and I'll select my new measure. Okay, I'll select my new measure. So what I want to do is very simple here. I'm going to, once the tab comes up, I'm going to use them. All right, just a simple formula anyway. All right, so I'll call this, I'll give it a title first. Attrition number. Let me put it that way. Attrition number. Let me zoom this in a way that will make it easier for us to see what is going on. All right, so attrition number. So the attrition number here, we just want to find out the specific number of individuals or employees that have left the organization. So I'll start off with a function called calculate function. The calculate function allows me to do a normal calculation, but applying a filter. Let's say, for example, you were sent to the market to, locate some specific individuals, right? And they said, okay, when you get to the market, I want you to locate the pepper sellers, right? Now, once you locate the pepper sellers, I want you to locate the ones that are dark in complexion. All right. That is you filtering down after you've gotten to a particular level, right? So that's exactly what we are going to do here. Okay. We're going to first of all locate the employees, okay, in this organization. That will require us to write an expression that says count, okay, count the total number of employees that we have here. Okay, so I'll type in HR to get to the HR table, and we have employee IDs for that information. So count the total number of employees that we have. Okay, now that you've counted the total number of employees, please go to that attrition table. Okay, attrition column. I'll apply the filter now that and look for individuals who have left the organization. All right, so I'll go to the attrition column peacefully. Go to the attrition column, right? So HR data attrition, I'll select that. And then I'll say, okay, please, once you get into this column, look for this, all right? So where the attrition column is equal to yes, okay? Where is equal to yes. So when you get there, only look for yes. If you see yes, you count yes. That's all. If you see yes, you count yes. And I'll close my bracket here and hit enter. All right. So just like that, we've been able to communicate with Power BI to give us a simple answer. Count the number of employees who have left, okay, and then give us a good answer or a good feedback. Now, like I said, we're also going to calculate the attrition rate so that we see the number of employees that have left as well, or the percentage at which employees have left the organization. And that one is going to be very simple, okay? We're simply going to divide, right? Total number of employees from the attrition employees. Okay, so I'll just click on new measure here. So that works by quickly, and I'll type in attrition rate. Let me just use the rates bracket here, and that's it. All right, so for this, I'll just go ahead with the divide. Very straightforward. I want to divide, so I just type divide. I want to count, I type count. I want to filter something, I use calculate. As simple as that. All right, so right here, I'm going to go with the numerator that we just calculated, which is our attrition number. All right, and I'll add a comma there. And then I will go again with the count of, employees, count HR, okay, employees. All right, so simply put, this formula is just saying divide attrition number, the number of employees who have left, by the total number of employees who are present, which will give us our rate. Okay, so I'll hit enter, and then one last step before we visualize, I would like to see that in percentage. So if I look at this summary here, I can see that my attrition percentage is in general. I want it to be in percentage. So what do I do? Just like we just clicked a button and changed our revenue columns to dollars, right? Currencies. We're going to do that for this as well. I'll change it to percentage. Okay. I'll change it to percentage just by clicking on that button. And I would like to also reduce my decimal place to 1. All right. So all of these things that we are applying, the formatting, you are also going to see that when we start using that data. But first, let's start with the attrition information here. Okay. All right. So now let's answer the question, department by attrition. Okay, so I'll cancel this and then I'll come in with the attrition number. Okay, so you can see the department by attrition reason. Now, the other thing it asks for is how does this vary by gender? Okay, how does this vary by gender? So I'm going to go ahead and add that information here. I'll just select the gender column. Okay, and we can see the gender information. All right, these employees have left the organization, but we want to know how many males, how many females, and so on and so forth. So for sales department, we have 2 males, 2 females. For operations, we only have females that have left, two of them have left. And then marketing, 1 male has left, which makes it a total of what? Let's see, 6, 7 employees. 7 employees have left this organization, and we can easily see the distribution here. All right, that is it. We've answered this question for this organization. Now, the next thing we want to answer would be, let's see, what is the overall employee performance distribution and where should retention efforts be focused? All right, so we first of all have to see the overall performance distribution before we can answer that. What is the overall performance distribution? Now, after we are done with this, I want us to, just let me know what you can see with the data. All right, so I'm just going to bring this in here. All right, let's use a donuts chart this time around. I'm just going to put this over here. All right, so performance, right? We want to find out the performance column. So we have performance column here, performance level. All right, so how do we know which employee falls under which area? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and look at that. Let's see. We'll bring in the employee ID, okay, to create a count for us. Fantastic. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and change this to employee head count. All right, employee head count. All right, so employee head count and information on employee performance, we already have that here, but we cannot really tell what is going on. Let's put it on focus mode and let me just do some editing so everything is much more direct, right? So I'll go to detail label. I want everything to appear on the chart. So I'll change that. Okay, so we can see medium and all of that right here on the chart. And let me make this a bit bolder. Increase the size. So I'm sure that we can see. So if I ask a question like, how many employees do we have as high performers? Let's say your manager just asks you a question like that. How many high performing employees do we have in this organization? What would be your answer? How many high performing employees do we have in this organization? looking at this performance level, fantastic dosing, 17. Okay, just like that, 17. But if we're looking at that raw data, we'll still have to use our fingers to start counting. And before you know, you make a mistake, you start again, and all of that. And that's not the way to go, right? So with this visual, you can easily pinpoint. You can even see the percentage that these high performers take up in the total, number of the people in the organization. And then we also have the medium performing, all right? That's their performance is mid, right? So we have a larger population in this particular area. And finally, we have low performers. We just have 9 individuals in the low performers. Now, the interesting thing is that this particular data covers everybody, both those that have left and those that are still with us. The reason why we are going to leave it as this is so that we can understand if this is actually impacting us negatively as to, oh, this is the reason why employees are leaving, right? That's why the performance is low, or this is the reason why they are staying. Are the attrition employees, performing better, or they are performing poorly before they left, right? Since we don't have anything regarding reasons here. All right. So now that we have this listed out, we are also going to look at some quick KPIs. Okay. We're going to look at, let's see, the job satisfaction of these employees, average job satisfaction. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this so we don't have to create that again. All right, so I'll put this here, average job satisfaction. All right, average job sat. And then you can see we have 2.5 on average on the dot. That's a rating from 1 to 5, and we have 2.5 job satisfaction, which means that there's a serious concern or something to be concerned about for these employees. Now, for the other information that we have here, I'm going to put in the attrition rate so that we can use that information to make some decisions. All right. So right here we have 14% attrition rate, which is quite high for any organization. 14% is quite high. So let me just bring in the title. Yeah, so anytime it comes to this text box, you have to be very careful. All right, so it takes quite a little bit of time. Every other thing doesn't give us stress except text box. Anyway, let's just go ahead and fix that. It's not impossible, but it's just tricky. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this here, and we have our HR report. So basically, we've been able to do a simple analysis for this organization to help them answer some key questions. All right, from understanding where they are financially to helping them understand the distribution in their employees' performance. Okay, so right here, we looked at the attrition trends. We also looked at the numbers of individuals and the departments, okay, where we have attrition. Now, we are going to have a big concern, all right, when it comes to attrition for the sales department, because we have 4 people out of the 7, right, that have left. We have 4 people from the sales department, which means that there are issues or underlying issues that we might need to dig into. All right, if we find out the reasons for attrition and we look at the conditions or the patterns, reoccurring patterns, month on month, okay, we'll be able to say 1 or 2 things about what is going on. But with the limited data we have, we've been able to help them answer their questions efficiently. All right, so we can see where they made the most money, where they made the least money, what their customers feel about each of these regions or locations of their businesses, and also how their employees feel with our job satisfaction results that we have right here. And just like that, we've been able to perform some financial analysis and some HR analytics. So congratulations to every one of us on this call. All right. I believe you've learned one or two things. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm going to be handing over to Priscilla. Priscilla is going to take us through how we can actually land a job with this specific skill set that we just looked at. So if you enjoyed this process so far, just go ahead and type in the chat, yeah, before Priscilla takes over. All right. As simple as that, go ahead and type in the chat, yeah. Please make sure to fill out your attendance form, all right, so that you get this video and you can also, get the materials, everything complete. Awesome. So I can see all of you showing up here. Fantastic. Hi, Priscilla.
Yeah, hello, Mary. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Absolutely, I can hear you.
All right, thank you so much for that amazing session, Mary. So, hi, everybody. I hope we've had a good time so far. So, I can see your responses in the chat. And we just learned how to use Power BI as data analyst, HR analyst, or financial analyst in a few minutes. That should be like 1 hour 30 thereabout, right? And thank you so much for staying with us so far. So, right now, we'll just get on to the other meat of the session. And in this part of the session, we'll basically be talking about how you can actually become a HR analyst, a financial analyst, or a data analyst, right? And the skills that you need to learn, to get these skills, right? So, I mean, to get a job as a data analyst, a HR analyst, or a financial analyst. So, in the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'm going to be walking you through the nitty-gritty, how you can get onboarded, how you can actually learn to be a data analyst, a financial analyst, or a HR analyst, the skills you need to learn, what you need to have in place, and the strategies that you need to plug into so that you are able to get a job, right? So I'll share my screen and I'll talk you through the remaining part of the session. And just to get feedback from everybody, if you can see my screen right now, please leave a yes in the chat. If you can see my screen at the moment, kindly leave a yes in the chat so I know that you can see my screen. Okay, thank you, Sarah Benson. So we're just going to go ahead, right? So basically, I know that everybody on this call, we're here for financial analytics, HR analytics, and data analytics. But then there are different tech career paths. There are tons and tons of tech career paths, right? So why should you actually get into these career paths that we've chosen to speak about today? Why financial analytics? Why HR analytics? Why data analytics, right? And then I know that for some persons on the call, you might actually be thinking, this career path, can I actually get a job, right? Can I just, without prior experience, just my interest, can I learn within a couple of months and actually land a job, right? And are there even jobs, right? If I decide to become a financial analyst today, are there jobs, right? If I decide to become a HR analyst today, am I going to find a job, right? I know that is some questions that you may have in your mind, right? So that is why I would actually be, talking you through why you are actually in a very, very good spot, So here at Analytics, while Mary was doing the introduction, you come to learn that we offer 8 career paths, but tonight we'll be talking about just 3 of them: financial analytics, HR analytics, and data analytics, right? And then the reason why we're sticking to these 3 is that so before we actually came up with these tech career paths, we did our own analysis. We looked at various job boards because we know that tech is broad, right? There are tons and tons of career paths in tech. But then we decided to do our own analysis to see which of these tech career paths you can actually easily learn, right? So we looked through LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, and the likes, right? We analyzed for the jobs in demand, just the same way maybe I was taking you through how you can do analysis, build a financial report or a HR report, right? What we did was we looked at these job boards, right? We analyzed the skills that recruiters are majorly recruiting for, right? The skills that are in demand across these job boards, right? And then afterwards, we needed to get a global view of things as well. So we'd come up with certain tech career paths, but we needed to know, is there any other body backing this up? Is there any other body that is saying truly these tech career paths are in demand. So we consulted the World Economic Forum, right? The Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum, right? So the World Economic Forum is just like a congregation of top tech leaders. You have top politicians, top tech industry experts like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and all of that, right? And then we needed to get their insight. They sort of chart the cost for jobs in a couple of years, right? So we consulted the Future of Jobs report to get their insight as well. And then that is on the global scale. To take it down to the regional part of things, we also needed to see across the three major economies, are these tech career paths, are they relevant? Are they in demand? The financial analytics, the HR analytics, and the data analytics, are they in demand across the three major economy, right? So for UK, we decided to take a look at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa, right? And guess what? The financial analytics, the HR analytics, and the data analytics tech career path are amongst the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. In the US, we also decided to look at job titles with highest H-1B acceptance rate, right? And we also found these tech career paths. In Canada, we decided to look at the provincial nominee programs across various priority streams: Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, BC, Vancouver, and the likes, right? So right here on my slide, I've left the link to these sites so that you can just get a hold of my slide and access these sites to see for yourself that, yes, this HR analytics, financial analytics, and data analytics, they are very much in demand, right? And you will be able to get a job just anywhere, not just getting a job, but you'll be able to learn easily, and then regardless of your background, you would also be able to find a job that suits you, and then the job will definitely pay you well, right? So we came up with these 8 different career paths, but tonight we're just sticking with 3 of them: data analytics, HR analytics, and financial analytics. Okay, so what are the skills you need to learn? So Mary has talked us through who a data analyst is, who a financial analyst is, who a HR analyst is, right? And then I'm sure that if you're on LinkedIn and other platforms, you would see the need for data, right? So since the inception of the world, the data that we currently use have been generated. 90% of the data we have, was just generated in the last 5 years, right? To show you that whatever it is you're doing, plugging into the data space is definitely a good choice for you. So to become an HR analyst or a data analyst or a financial analyst, what are the skills you need to learn, right? What are the tools and technologies that you need to know how to use, right? So I'm just going to talk you through that immediately, right? So to become a data analyst, that professional in the company that helps the company make sense of their data, right? That transforms their rows and columns, just the same way Mary showed us, into reports, right? Reports that can support their decision, right? To become that data analyst, to become that tech professional, these are the key learning areas. These are the modules that you actually need to learn, right? The skills that you need to learn. The first thing you need to learn is problem solving. Okay, that is the very first thing you need to learn. You need to learn how to break down problems into bits, the various techniques and all of that. Then you also need to learn Excel. Excel is like the bread and butter of every data analyst, right? So with Excel, you can clean your data, you can build a report, right? You can summarize your data and all of that, right? So you need to know how to use Excel to become a data analyst. Then you also need to know how to use SQL. SQL is structured query language for every platform you interact with. WhatsApp, any application, your banking app and all of that. Your data goes to a database, right? And the language with which you communicate to that database, right, is SQL, structured query language. So say that as a data analyst, you get the database of a company, and then you want to help them understand the total number of customers that they have, but they have the data stored in a database. You cannot use Excel to get that output. You cannot use Power BI, right? You need to speak the language of the database, which is SQL, structured query language. Then after you learn structured query language, you learn Power BI as well. So we've just worked on Power BI, right? That is something you get to learn. It is a business intelligence tool, and you can see the reports that Mary built belt. You can also use Power BI for automation, connect the multiple data sources, scrape data of the web and all of that. Then after you get to learn Power BI, you also get to learn Tableau. Tableau is a business intelligence tool as well. And we decided to teach you both of them, just in case you find yourself in an organization that uses Tableau, you'll be good to go. If you find yourself in one that uses Power BI, you are also good to go, right? Then we have data storytelling, ChatGPT for analytics, Microsoft Fabric for analytics, right? And then the way you learn here at Analytics is you learn for 8 months in total. So 6 months you'll be working in a live class with a professional, with a facilitator, just the same way maybe has taught you, slowly, ensure that you were following through. That is how you would learn, right? And even more, you get to learn regardless of your background. You do not need to have any tech background or any experience whatsoever. All you need to do is just show up in class and you would learn within a duration of 6 months, right? So you have your live class, on Saturdays, and you have your self-paced as well. So for those of us in UK, Europe, Africa, right? So on Saturdays, you get to learn between the hours of 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., right? If you are in Canada, North America, US, right? You get to learn between the hours of 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., right? So doesn't matter your time zone or whatever, right? There is a class that suits you, right? And then you have your self-paced as well. Okay, so I'll shed more light on this as we go ahead, right? Then let's look at the financial analyst career path. So what skills do you need to learn to become a financial analyst? As maybe rightly said, a financial analyst is a data analyst that is focused on financial data, right? They help the company to, predict their future financial performance and all of that, right? So you need to learn problem solving. You need to learn Excel. You need to learn Power BI. You need to learn SQL, structured query language. And then you break it down to your specific, right? Because you are a financial analyst. You need to learn accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity and scenario analysis, ChatGPT for analytics. So after taking this financial analytics program, you are exposed to 3 different career paths, right? You're exposed to data analytics, you're exposed to corporate finance, and you're exposed to investment banking. Okay, so that is after taking the financial analytics program. So let's look at the data analytics program right now, okay? I mean the HR analytics program, which is the last one we have, just to confirm, please, can you still see my screen? If you can still see my screen and you can hear me clearly and you're following, please just leave a yes in the chat. Okay, if you can see my screen and you're following, okay, perfect. So let's just go ahead. Let's get on with it, all right? So I'm going to speak about the HR analytics program in a minute. Just give me a couple of minutes. Seem to be having a technical glitch on my end. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, I think I have that sorted. Right, yeah. Okay, give me 2 minutes to quickly bring my slide up. Don't know why I couldn't really move it forward. But just to confirm, can everybody see my screen at this point? Can you still see my screen? Please just leave a yes in the chat if you can still see my screen. Okay, thank you so much. So let's talk about the HR analyst. What are the skills you need to learn to actually become a HR analyst, that would help the company optimize their HR process. So you're not just that conventional HR. You're not just that person that is at the back end that they would employees will just come to, oh, I need to go on a leave, I need to take this sick leave and all of that. Your work is more than that, right? So you're now bringing tech to your HR process, and then you're helping whatever company it is you're working with, right? You're helping them optimize their HR processes, their employee performance, and you're helping them manage talent as well. So to become an invaluable HR analyst, these are the skills that you need to learn. The first thing you need to learn is problem solving. Remember, I know you would see problem solving, Excel, Power BI, SQL. Remember, you're a data analyst that is just focused on either people data or financial data. So you find problem solving, Excel, Power BI common amongst the 3 different career paths. And guess what? You would only find that here at Analytics, okay? Then we have SQL. skill, I mean, HR analytics and performance evaluation. This is you going to get specifics now, right? Then you have HR metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, collaboration and report automation, building your case and creating action. Then you learn ChatGPT for analytics, right? With the emergence of AI, every single person, every single professional needs to learn how to use AI to, optimize their workflow. Because there are a lot of things you don't know. There are a lot of formulas, a lot of functions. Sometimes you just need to ask AI and you're good to go, right? So that is what you need to learn, to become a HR analyst, a financial analyst, or a data analyst. But guess what? After learning, are there jobs for you? Right now, Priscilla has told you, okay, to become this professional, these are the skills you need to learn. But then, where do you find the jobs? The goal of learning is not just for the sake of learning. It is to get a job. It is to apply the skills that you have learned in a real world scenario, right? To get a job, right? And then to help with this, this is the Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum. And guess what they have to say? For those of us that feel like the data space is saturated and all of that, this is what they have to say. In the next 5 years, between now and 2030, 170 million jobs will be created, while 92 million jobs will disappear, right? Some of us are feeling scared. Are there jobs? The tech space is saturated, right? Tech is not for me. I don't think it's just, there are just a lot of people on LinkedIn saying that they're data analysts, they're HR analysts, they're financial analysts. If I start today, will I get a job? This is what the Future of Job report has to say, right? And then let's check if the HR analyst, the financial analyst, and the data analyst are amongst the tech career paths that will grow, right? According to their report, these are the career paths that are in demand, the ones that will grow and the ones that will decline. So to the right, these are the paths that would actually decline. And to the left of my screen here, these are the tech career paths that will grow over time, right? So you see the data analyst, you see the different paths here. You find the data analyst and scientist, the financial analyst, the HR analyst, right? And then this goes to show you that just learn, right? Learn how to become a financial analyst, learn how to become a data analyst, learn how to become a HR analyst. There's a job for you, right? The tech career path that you're about getting into is in demand, right? And you can get a job that pays you real good, right? So after you learn, right? After you learn how to be a data analyst, financial analyst, HR analyst, these are some of the jobs that you can apply for. So your focus isn't just to look for, oh, I'm just solely looking for financial analyst roles, or I'm just solely looking for data analyst roles or HR analyst roles, right? So after taking the data analytics program, right, these are some of the jobs that you'll be able to apply for. You'll be able to apply for data analyst jobs, business intelligence analyst, marketing analyst, sales analyst, logistics analyst, supply chain analyst, procurement analyst, operations analyst, product analyst, database analyst, and administrator. So all the skills you'll be getting, they'll give you the opportunity to be able to apply to these jobs as well. Then you also have the jobs that you'll be able to apply for after taking the financial analytics program, and then you have the ones for HR as well. I want you to fill the attendance form, right there in the chat, so that as soon as you get access to this slide, you'll be able to digest and go through everything. We don't have so much time, so I might not, read through everything and explain, but just fill the attendance form, so that when the recording and this slide is made available, you would have access to it, okay? So now let's look at the strategy that would help you land the job in 2025. Now, you've known the skills that you need to learn. You're also well aware that the path that you're about to go into is in demand. Right now, what strategy would actually help you land a job in 2025? When other people are saying that, oh, the tech career path is saturated, right? What is the strategy that would actually help you get a job in 2025, right? So let's quickly take a look at that. Here at Analytics, we came up with some certain strategies that we've actually deployed over the years, and it has worked for us, right? So the first thing you need to do is learn and be focused on your learning. It is very easy to get distracted, so you choose the data analytics tech career path, the financial analytics, or the HR analytics, and tomorrow you actually hear that, oh, your friend just got a job as a cybersecurity analyst, and that is the reigning thing, that is the thing in demand. And there's just this tendency to want to, okay, I think I should go into cybersecurity because I mean, somebody just got a job. But that is not the way you learn in the tech space. And that is not the way you actually, meet your goal at the end of the day, which is to get a job. So you need to stay laser focused, right? If you're choosing financial analytics, if you're choosing HR analytics, or data analytics, the key is to first of all stay laser focused, learn everything that there is to learn, right? And that is one strategy that we actually, encourage all of our participants to plug into. After you learn, you also need to position yourself properly, because you see the key learning areas that I mentioned to you earlier, the Excel, the SQL, and all of that. Anybody can go pick them up from anywhere, but you see everybody that is actually employable. At some point, you get to hear people say, oh, I've learned data analytics for 5 years. I've not been able to get a job. That is where employability and positioning comes in, right? So you need to stand out amongst the crowd, and you need to ensure that with your technical skills, you are actually employable. So the first thing you need to learn is actually how to revamp your CV, right? And some of us make the mistake. So I showed you the jobs that you'll be able to apply for apart from the conventional financial analyst, HR analyst, and data analyst, right? And then when you see those other jobs, you just want to use the same CV to apply to tons and tons of jobs. It doesn't work that way, right? You need to actually learn how to tailor your CV to every single job application you're about to make, right? And that is what we here at Analytics are here to help you do. So we help you revamp your CV. And what we do is by 2 months into your program with us, we're actually giving you a standard CV format for you to tailor your CV according to that format. So after you tailor your CV, you submit your CV to our employability partners, and they're able to, provide individual feedback to you. So if your professional summary needs feedback, if it is in some certain way, and then you need it better place, you would get that feedback. If your work experience needs to be better, you would also get that feedback as well, right? And then after you learn how to, revamp your CV, you get to learn how to tailor your CV to every single application. So you find the business intelligence analyst role, and that is what you want to apply for. How can you tailor your CV to suit that job description, so that when your CV is being run through the applicant tracking system, it doesn't just get sidelined, right? So your CV is able to beat the applicant tracking system any day, anytime. So that is one thing we teach you, how to do conveniently. Then we have LinkedIn optimization. As a tech professional, a HR analyst, financial analyst, or a data analyst, there are certain keywords that you need to have on your LinkedIn profile, right? There are certain, hashtags that you need to use. There's a way you need to communicate your work, right there on LinkedIn. Because on LinkedIn, you get to build your personal brand, right? And then if any recruiter, maybe in your environs or anywhere, is looking to recruit for a data analyst, HR analyst, when they search for a HR analyst, your name pops up because your profile is well optimized. That is the power of optimization as well. Okay, then after you learn how to actually, optimize your LinkedIn profile, there's something called portfolio. Portfolio is like your showroom, right? Where recruiters are able to see at one glance the skills that you have as a data analyst. A lot of the times when you meet people that say, oh, I'm a data analyst, I'm a financial analyst, or I'm a HR analyst, if you tell them, show me your portfolio, they mostly don't have portfolio. They just went on Udemy, they went on Coursera, they went on YouTube, and they just learned randomly, right? They don't have any skill, any portfolio to actually give to a recruiter, so that a recruiter is able to see that, yes, this person has the much needed skill and experience, right? So learning here at Analytics, you learn in a project-based environment. That is one thing you need to take note of. You see all the key learning areas that I mentioned to you, you're actually building projects, you're working on real-world case study, real-world project. And at the end of the day, you're able to curate all of these and put them in a portfolio, such that at one click, a recruiter is able to see the skills that you have, the projects that you have worked on as a financial HR or a data analyst, right? It is through your portfolio portfolio, they are able to see that, yes, this person has the much needed skills. Then you also need to get mentorship, right? People that have walked the talk, right? People that have gotten jobs. You have global recruiters, alumni of Tetalytics coming back into session to pour into you. Okay, this is how you get to negotiate for salary and all of that. You get mentored right from the beginning of your program, up until, should I say, infinity, because truth is, you have a lifetime access to Tetalytics and all of its resources, right? Then we have interview preparation as well. So your portfolio is very good to go. You've worked on skills, you've worked on projects, you've developed the necessary skills, and then you have an interview coming up. Bear in mind that you're a newbie in this tech space, and then Tetalytics has told you that to get employable, you need to work on projects. Then you've worked on project, you apply to a job, and then a recruiter is scheduling an interview. So how do you go ahead to answer competency-based questions? How do you even introduce yourself? Bearing in mind that you're a carer, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, and you're just breaking into tech. Now they ask you, could you introduce yourself, right? How do you do that? There are different approaches, there are different techniques to introducing yourself, right? And when you have an interview coming up, we have our tech professionals, your facilitators, they'll just take a look at the job description, take a look at your CV, and they're able to preempt the questions that you are likely to get. So they get on a session with you and they're able to teach you or to prepare you for that interview. They're able to teach you how to answer competency-based questions, how to introduce yourself, how to ask questions, and every single thing you need to know to actually ace the interview, right? Then you have job reference as well. Okay. So just today, I had a participant from last year, reaching out for reference letter, right? And that is one thing we provide to our participant. We're able to do this because we tell each and every participant at Tetalytics, immediately you join us, what you have on your CV is that you're working with Tetalytics as a consultant, or a contractor. This way, we are able to actually provide you with recommendation and reference letter when needed. Then you also have on-the-job support, right? You finally got a job as a data analyst, a HR analyst, or a financial analyst. And then one more thing to the job, you are faced with a task that seems very Herculean, something you're not able to bypass. You still have Tetalytics to fall back to. So this is how you position yourself for the job market, right? So after you learn, this is how you position. Then you also get to apply, right? A lot of people apply to tons and tons of jobs. The easy apply on LinkedIn, where you just see a job because your CV is on LinkedIn, you're applying easily, right? The mistake a lot of people make is they're not applying with precision, right? Just like I've mentioned, to apply with precision, you need to actually learn how to tailor every application to the job description, right? Never reuse a CV, right? Then you also need to make 10 quality applications per day, right? And then what we also offer to you, apart from your access to the conventional and traditional job boards, LinkedIn, Indeed, and the likes, we also have subscribed to premium job boards, right? So you have access to premium job roles, fresh and hot, and you're able to apply to these roles, and it just increases your chance. So while your peers are actually just looking for jobs at Indeed, Glassdoor, and the likes, you have access to a paid job board, right? Like gov.uk and the likes, and UK visa jobs, and you are able to actually just apply to these jobs to increase your chance, right? So with this strategy in place, this is how you actually get a job. So let's look into learning. How do you learn, right? Remember I said you need to stay focused, and the kind of environment you need to learn, learning actually matters a whole lot. So here at Analytics, we have a blended learning approach. So you have your self-paced and you have your instructor-led class, right? So with your self-paced, you get to learn at your convenience. You choose the time, you choose the place. All you need to do is just access your resources in the Tetalytics learning management system and you learn, right? You can choose to learn 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. at night. You just learn at your convenience, right? Now, the mistake a lot of people make is sometimes they go strictly self-paced, right? So Udemy, Coursera, YouTube, it's just strictly self-paced. If you're stuck, how do you ask questions? Sometimes when you're writing an SQL query as a data analyst, a financial analyst, or a HR analyst, right, you might just be missing a semicolon, right? And then you've been running that query for days, but there's nobody to ask. It is the same query that you saw the facilitator actually wrote, but you're running the same query and you're getting an error message, but there's nobody to ask. That is the danger of actually learning in a solely self-paced environment. So what we've done is we've combined self-paced and instructor-led class, right? So you have your self-paced where you choose the time, you choose the place. All you need to do is just get on your system and learn. And then you have the live instructor-led class. So in this class, you get to interact and interface with the facilitator. Just the same way maybe I talked you through, how to build a report on Power BI, right? You have your case studies that you come to work on in class, and you get to learn in class. So this is absolutely the best way to learn. Then let's briefly talk about positioning as well, right? So you actually need a portfolio. Ensure nobody is deceiving you that, oh, you don't need a portfolio. As a data analyst, a financial analyst, or a HR analyst, one important thing you need is actually a portfolio. Like I said, a portfolio is just like a showroom. It houses all of the projects you've worked on, right? And for beginners that are looking to transition into tech, the only way recruiters would want you to have 2, 3, 4, 5 years of experience. The only way you are able to actually gain the experience is by, first of all, learning in a project-based environment. Then after you learn in a project-based environment, you are able to show these recruiters the skills you have in a portfolio, right? So you curate all the projects you've worked on, you put them in a portfolio, and at one click, like I said, they're able to see the projects that you have worked on. So let's just quickly take a look at this a data analyst portfolio here, right? Just to confirm, can everybody still see my screen? Just to quickly confirm, can you still see my screen? Please just leave a yes in the chat if you can still see my screen, okay? I just need to be sure that we can see my screen. Okay, all right, thank you. So I just want to quickly show you this portfolio. Right, this is a data analyst portfolio by one of our participants, Victoria Ochemade. Now, just imagine a recruiter for an hospital is looking to recruit a data analyst, and they look at this portfolio and they see that, oh, this person has actually worked on, an hospital data, an emergency room visit analysis, right? They look at the portfolio, they see this, and then they just click on the dashboard to actually see, the reports that they were able to build, right? There's no recruiter on earth, that would see the skills that this person have, that would see this reports, that would see this project that they have worked on and wouldn't say that, yes, they have the necessary skills, right? So on this dashboard, you find that this dashboard is completely interactive. So you can see here the number of emergency room patients, the average years, the average wait time, and the likes, right? So say that the recruiter is looking to see, okay, I want to see the number of ER patients we had in Q1, right? Right here at the top left, at the left of the screen, you have your filter, right? Let me just check on Q1 to see the number of ER patients that we have. So we see that it has reduced to 1,450 ER patients, right? You also have your patient gender. You can take a look at the number of male or female patients that that the hospital had, right? So any recruiter seeing this report, seeing this portfolio will know that, okay, yeah, Victoria actually, has the skills of a data analyst, and employing them in this hospital this would just mean that they're able to deliver on their job. Okay, so this is what that affords you. All right, learning in a project-based environment, this is what it affords you. Okay, so let's just quickly get ahead with it. Okay, just give me a minute. I think I stopped sharing. Sure. Okay. All right. So just bear with me for a minute. Quickly access that. Okay, so I was talking about your portfolio and how you actually need a portfolio. Okay, so right here on this slide, I've included a link to a data analyst, the portfolio of a data analyst, the portfolio of a financial analyst, and the portfolio of a HR analyst. So I might not be able to, talk you through each and every single portfolio, but then you need to fill the attendance form so that by the time you have access to this slide, you're able to go through every single portfolio and see for yourself, right? And remember to position, you need your CV review and revamp, you need your LinkedIn profile properly optimized, you need to learn how to navigate the job market, how you can gain access to premium job boards, interview preparation sessions, job reference, on the job support, weekly mentorship, and Upwork optimization as well. So at Here at Analytics, you learn in 8 months, right? By 8 months, you're completely, skilled enough to become a data analyst, a financial analyst, or a HR analyst. But one thing we advise is we don't encourage our participants to wait after the end of the 6 months before you start applying to jobs, right? So you can start applying to jobs immediately. You learn Excel, Power BI, right? Because a lot of the times we have participants that have actually, gotten jobs as Excel data analysts, or Power BI data analysts, right? So we just encourage every single participant to immediately start applying, as soon as they've learned Excel and Power BI, right? Then you learn your 6 months of learning is actually with Tenalytics. Then we partnered with a consulting company as well, which is called Amdari. So you get to have 2 months internship with them. And that way on your CV, you have that you've worked with Tenalytics and you've worked with Amdari. Now imagine you as a nurse or a carer or a doctor or a teacher without prior experience, without prior background. You're looking to break into data analytics. You've learned properly. You've gotten the skills, you've built a portfolio. On your CV, you've never worked as a data analyst or a financial or HR analyst. But on your CV, by the virtue of working on projects, building a portfolio, you gain the much needed experience, right? And right there on your CV, remember that recruiters will want to see where you have worked on. So learning with Analytics, you have the unique opportunity of including Analytics and Amdari on your CV and LinkedIn, to buttress your work experience. So as a teacher just getting into tech and you want to get a job as a data analyst, right? To buttress the fact that you have the much needed experience you have on your CV and on your LinkedIn profile that you have worked with Analytics. Now, Analytics is registered in Canada, right? Amdari is registered in UK. So for those of us that are bothered about Canadian work experience, UK work experience, you have this covered as well, right? And then we're also, accredited by the American Council of Training and Development. So you're covered on all rounds, right? So I'm just going to briefly talk about apply as well. Remember that we talked about tailoring your every application, never to reuse a CV when you are applying to jobs. And I also mentioned that we subscribe to premium job boards, visa sponsorship jobs, remote jobs, and the likes. All you need to do as soon as you're registered, you have access to these job boards on a weekly basis. So you come on these job boards and you're able to make 10 quality applications per day. Remember, you have access to your traditional job boards and you still have access to these paid platforms. This is what Tenalytics affords you. You're able to tap into paid and hidden job markets. Then you have your mentorship sessions. So in these sessions, just take a look at the screenshot to the right here, right? You get to learn a key strategy to applying and getting remote jobs, the importance of building in public, how you can utilize AI for job applications, and so much more. All right. So basically, this is the strategy that we deployed. And we've been in existence since 2020, and we've seen tons and tons of people utilize this strategy and they were able to get jobs. Let's just take a quick look at Ikmat, right? So Ikmat was a full-time stay-at-home mom. She moved to the UK for her master's in public health, right? She decided to join our data analytics program. Just like yourself, somebody looking to upskill, she decided to join this program. And after learning, after deploying these strategies, after plugging into these strategies, she was able to secure a job as a data analyst with the NHS. And guess what? She didn't have any prior experience, but this job came with a full visa sponsorship. So she learned the first thing she did laser focus, she learned. She joined the Analytics Data Analytics program, and to position properly, she was able to tailor her CV to a data analyst. She joined all of the mentorship sessions. She got prepped for multiple interviews, and she was able to build a portfolio. Then she started applying. She applied to multiple jobs consistently, and she ensured that she tailored every single application, right? So she ensured that she tailored every single application, and she knew where to apply to these jobs and how to apply. In January 2024, she was able to land an information analyst role with the NHS. She got this job a month after before completing a training program, basically, right? So we had a full-blown interview with ICMAT, right? And I will play a video almost at the end of this session, right? So we just got a couple of minutes, to go. We have Pavel here as well. Pavel was a teacher in Cameroon, and then he was able to get a data analyst job in the US, right? So he joined the data analytics program. He was able to plug into this strategy, learn, position, and apply, and he was able to get a job. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you some success stories. We have people that have taken the data analytics program, people that have taken the HR analytics program, people that have taken the financial analytics program. They were able to deploy these strategies and they were able to get jobs. So I'll just quickly play ICMAT's story for everyone on the call, all right, so that you get to listen for yourself.
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game,
especially in sales.
You get to hear a story from the horse's mouth, basically.
My name is Ikmat, and I was with the March cohort in Analytics, and joining Analytics has been the best decision so far. For me, someone coming from a background of
I hope that we can see my screen. If you can see Ikmat, please leave a yes in the
chat. And
chat.
then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Analytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In Analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. We have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because he was like, he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked. And I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he was mentioning, everything he mentioned, they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have Analytics to go back to. They are the best and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable one I've come across so far, and that's a very good advantage. So
Yeah, absolutely. So that was Ikmat actually sharing her story. She was sharing her experience at Analytics, right? And how she was actually able to, land a job. Okay, so I'm just going to, go ahead, with everything and the presentation. Okay, so I was actually talking you through or showing you Ikmat's story, right? We have Toyin here as well. Toyin actually worked as a pharmacist while in Nigeria. She joined our data analytics program and she was able to get a job as a benefit analyst, right? So if you're that person wondering, I don't have any prior experience, these are people that have done it, right? They were able to plug in into the strategy here at Analytics and they were able to land jobs. So here we have Chika. Chika landed a full-time role as a financial analyst in the UK. We also have Solomon. Yeah, his testimonial is here. As soon as you get this slide, you can actually listen to him. We have Solomon here. Solomon was an engineering graduate. For those of us that feel like my background doesn't suit tech at all, you don't even have to have any tech related background. You don't need to have studied computer science in school, right? Solomon's as an engineering background, and he was able to get started with our financial analytics program. He was able to get a job as a financial analyst in Nigeria, right? So we have Akintayo here as well. Akintayo got a job as a chief financial officer in Nigeria after completing our financial analytics program, right? Then we have Amaka here on my slide as well. So Amaka was one of those people that joined in the HR analytics program last year. Remember the jobs that we provide to our participants on a weekly basis. So the paid platforms, we were able to provide that. And she just took a look through at one of the jobs and decided to apply, right? She was able to secure a job as a HR data analyst with Sask Energy, right? And that was in December. Okay, so this is Amaka here, and this is actually somebody in June, somebody that took our HR analytics program last year, and she was able to get a job. At this point in the first screenshot, the organization was requesting for reference, right? For a reference letter, and we were able to provide that, right? And at this point, she had gotten the job already. Okay, so these are people that have been able to plug into the strategy. We have tons and tons of them. And as soon as you get this slide, you can actually just look through and, get started as well. So how can you get started? You've literally heard all what you need to hear to get started. You've known all the skills that you need to learn. You've actually seen what we do here at Analytics. You've heard for yourself, So how can you get started today, right? To become a financial analyst, to become a HR analyst, or to become a data analyst, we have a cohort for you, and the earlier, the better. So on the 5th of July, we have a class that is starting on the 5th of July. So if you're looking to become a financial analyst or HR analyst or a data analyst, you need to get started as soon as possible. And the 5th of July is your best bet. Now, what is the cost of the training program? So the full cost of Analytics training program is actually $900. But because you're on this call, we currently have a discount for 20 persons that will be looking to get started in July. So instead of $900, you get to pay $750. And there's some sort of flexibility around the payment structure. So you don't have to break the bank to look for $750, right? You can split that payment into 5 times and you get to pay $150 per month, right? So this is the amount that you need to get started as a data analyst, just $150. As a data analyst, a HR analyst, or a financial analyst, you just get to make this commitment, which is not open to everybody because this discount is slot based. As soon as the slot gets filled up, the price reverts back to normal. A couple of months back, we had a 50% discount. Instead of $900, our participants are paying $450. But right now, we have $750. We don't know what will happen before July. There might not be any discount whatsoever, and the price must have gone up. So you are on this call, and this is me speaking to you right now, to secure your discounted slot as soon as you can for the July cohort. Like I said, the discount is for the first 20 people to register. Now, my colleague has shared the payment link right there in the chat, right? My colleague has shared the payment link in the chat, and I will be walking you through how you can actually, make payments as well. Okay, so as soon as you get the link in the chat, just click on the link, right? As soon as you click on the link in the chat, you would see this Analytics Enrollment Center, right? So this is where you actually come to as soon as you click on the link. So you see Analytics Enrollment Center, and all what you need to do is just scroll down, scroll down a bit and look for either the Data Analytics program, the Financial Analytics, or the HR Analytics. So let's just go for Financial Analytics. Click on register for FA, and it brings you here to this payments platform, right? So you are able to see the price, in your local currency. So for those of us in the US, right, you're able to actually see the price in your local currency. So we had 20 slots and 4 people have been able to make payments. Right now, it is just 16 seats available. And as soon as the seats are available, the price reverts back to normal, right? So it is a limited slot and the price reverts back to normal as soon as the 16 seats are available. So you get to see the equivalent of 750 US dollars in your local currency. Okay, so let's just stick to the 5 monthly payments here for the purpose of demonstration, right? So if you're looking to go for financial analytics, HR analytics, or data analytics, right? Just go ahead to click on your 5 monthly payments and click on secure your seat, right? So you see the payment structure and the payment breakdown, and you are able to proceed. So as soon as you're done making payments, you will get a receipt via email, right? All you need to do to register is come back on this payment enrollment center, scroll down and click on upload your receipt, right? Click on upload your receipt and it brings you to this form right here, right? So as soon as you click on upload your receipt, you get this form here, right? And then all you need is just check your details, right? So you'd see your email, just check the box next to it and click on next, right? You'd see the type of payment. Make sure if you're picking the 5 monthly installments, make sure you pick initial payment, right? Then click on next, right? Then you'd also get to see the prompt that is, telling you to actually go through the terms and conditions, right, about your installment payment, right? Then just check yes and click on next as well. Then you'd see the early bird discount, click on next. I'm just basically walking you through how to fill up the registration form. Then you can fill up your first name, your last name, your email, and your gender, right? Just click on next, okay? And then just click on next as well, and you'll be able to upload a screenshot of your receipt. So you see the receipt that was sent to you via email, just take a screenshot of it and you will be able to upload it here, right? Click on next as well. Provide the name of the account from which the payment was initiated. Just put in your full name, right? And then at this point, when you're choosing the program to register for, if you want to go for financial analytics, just choose financial analytics. If you want to go for data analytics or HR analytics, you can choose that as well. But if at this point you're still confused, you don't know if it is financial analytics, you don't know if it is data analytics, you don't know if it is HR analytics, just click on I need to speak to a professional. This is after you're done making payments, so you'll be able to take advantage of the discounted slot. Just click on I need to speak to a professional, and click on next, and then choose the course that you intend starting the training, and you will be able to submit the form. So this is how you go about making payments as well. So at this juncture, we've come to the end of my presentation, and I'd like to take your questions right now. So if you've got questions for me, please feel free to use the chat option and ask your question. Or if you want to speak to me, you could use the raise hand icon so that I get you unmuted and you can ask your question. But if you have any question whatsoever, this is the point where you get to ask your question and I answer your question, okay? So you've seen how Mary was able to build a report using Power BI. You have an idea of what it is to be a data analyst, a financial analyst, or a HR analyst. I've walked you through how you need to learn, the skills you need to develop, how you can, ensure that you have a portfolio, and then the employability services that Analytics offer to you, right? These are the strategies we've been able to put in place. I also talk to you through, the cost of the payment and all of that. So at this point, if you have a question for me, please use the chat. You can ask your question on the chat, or you can just use the raise hand icon so you unmute and get to ask your question. So does anybody have a question for me? And just ensure that you've been following. Okay, so if you follow through the presentation so far, please leave a 1 in the chat. If you follow through the presentation right from the beginning up until this point, do leave a 1 in the chat so I know that we're still here and we can hear me clearly. Okay, please leave a 1 in the chat, all right? If you follow through every single aspect of this presentation. Bernard, I see you. Thank you. Anybody else? Abiola has actually followed through the session. Who else has followed through? Keep your responses coming in, okay? So I have Oluwaseun, thank you as well. Who else? Who else? Let's just see you, Vivian. Thank you, Vivian. Who else has followed through the presentation? Meanwhile, at this point, I'm just waiting for your question, okay? So if you've got any question, please use the palm icon, or ask your question in the chat, okay? If you don't have a question for me, we've been on this call for about 2 hours 30, so I don't, waste so much of your time. Would like to call it an end of session here, all right? I hope you were able to get value for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Okay, so I hope to see you in class come the 5th of July. Okay, I have Ola. Hello, Ola. Let me just quickly ask you to unmute so you can ask your question. So I've asked you to unmute. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, Priscilla. Thank you so much for the session.
How are
Okay,
you
my
doing?
question is, I noticed that Tableau was not included in the HR analytics course, and for
Right.
me, I am particularly interested in Tableau as well. So it's not
Okay.
just Power BI, yes.
Okay. And you're interested in going for the HR analytics program, right?
Yes,
Okay.
HR analytics.
Okay, so one thing we've done, when I was talking through the presentation, I mentioned that Power BI, Tableau, they are business intelligence tools. And a lot of the times in organizations, it's either Power BI or Tableau, right? So if you've learned Power BI in the HR analytics program, you can easily pick up Tableau skills as well. We don't have it currently in the curriculum for the HR analyst, but it is something you can easily pick up as well. So long as you know how to use Power BI, which you'll be learning, right? You can also easily pick up Tableau. I hope that answers your question, Ola.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. So does anybody else have any question for me before we call it a day? So we've got 2 more minutes to ask questions and we are going to call it a day. Okay, so if you don't have further questions, I want to appreciate everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking with me 2 hours 33 now. I hope to, see you in class. If you have issues with registering and all of that, right there on the slide, you would find the contact, our contact details. You can just easily reach us. You can also reach us on Instagram, Facebook and all of that if you've got any question. So I'd like to say that we've come to the end of the session and I hope to see you in the July cohort. Thank you very much for your time so far. I hope that you are able to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you and bye for now. Cheers, everybody.